Everyone, today we're diving into a really powerful story. It's about loss, about finding a new path, and ultimately about redefining what it means to have hope. We're going to follow one woman's journey through some of the deepest grief imaginable and see how she transformed all that pain into a mission to help others find peace at the end of their lives. And it all kicks off with one single heartbreaking memory.
This is the sentence that changes everything. It's from a woman named Mira, talking about her young son, Aryan, who passed away from leukemia. And that one thought, that gut-wrenching feeling that his last moments were all about beeping machines instead of the things he loved, that became the spark for everything that was about to happen.
So, to really understand the mission that Mira would eventually build, we have to go right back to the beginning. Back to the loss that completely turned her world upside down.
After Aryan's death, Mira's world just fell apart. There was this huge conflict between her and her husband, Raghav. Now, he was a prominent surgeon, so for him, they had to do everything medically possible to fight to the very end. But for Mira, it all felt so wrong. This pain and disagreement sent her spiraling into depression and alcoholism, and their home, once so full of life, just became this place of anger and sorrow. The first tiny glimmer of light came when a friend gently, nudged her toward a meditation center.
And it was there, at that center, that she reconnected with an old friend who was running an NGO, one that was dedicated to helping the terminally ill. As she listened to their stories, something just clicked. She decided to volunteer. It was like she found a way to take her own personal tragedy and turn it into something else, a mission to make sure other families wouldn't have to go through what she did.
So what did this new job, this new role, actually look like? I mean, Mira wasn't a doctor, she wasn't a nurse. She was stepping into this space as something completely different, and it was a role that would seriously challenge the way the medical system worked.
Mira essentially became what's known as a death doula. Now, this is a non-medical role. The focus isn't on curing anything or treating a disease. It's all about providing emotional, spiritual, and just practical support. It's about managing the journey of dying itself and making sure a person's final days are filled with as much comfort and dignity and personal meaning as possible.
But you can probably guess this whole philosophy put Mira on a direct collision course with a medical culture that was laser-focused on one thing: just prolonging life, sometimes, no matter what the cost, to the quality of that life.
And this slide, I think, just lays out that conflict so perfectly. On one side, you have the language of war, right? We have to keep fighting. Another round of chemo. Don't give up hope. That was the world of the doctors and so many of the families she met. But Mira's approach, on the other side, it was all about changing the goal. It was about shifting focus to joy, to prioritizing comfort, and to understanding that a peaceful end could be its own beautiful form of hope.
And man, this was not an easy road. In pretty much every single case, Mira ran into the same walls of resistance. She met families like a son who got so angry, accusing her of getting in the way. She had to deal with skeptical doctors who just wanted to try one more procedure, one more experimental drug. And she was also navigating these really deep cultural beliefs where anything less than going all out with medical intervention was seen as just giving up.
But her method was always so personal, never one size fits all. For a 5-year-old girl named Priya, peace meant being surrounded by her favorite stuffed animals, not IV drips. For an 8-year-old boy named Aman, it was throwing a superhero party, making sure his last memories were about fun, not pain. For an elderly woman with Alzheimer's, it was filling her room with the old Tamil song she grew up with. Every single time, it was about finding that one thing that brought comfort and meaning to that individual person.
Mira's work was really building towards something, and it all culminated in a case that would become her greatest challenge, a journey that would push her to her absolute limits, and in the end, would completely transform her own life.
So Mira gets a call about a woman named Rekha. Rekha had advanced AIDS, she'd been totally abandoned by her family, and she had this one final desperate wish. She wanted to die in the holy city of Kashi. But even more important than that, she needed to know that her little 4-year-old daughter Ananya was going to be safe.
And against the advice of her husband, her friends, everyone, Mira said yes. She took on this incredibly difficult journey with a woman whose health was failing by the hour and this tiny little girl. For weeks, she just kept a vigil by the river Ganges, taking care of Rekha, and in the process forming this incredible, unbreakable bond with Ananya. When Rekha finally did pass away peacefully, Mira performed her last rites, but she just couldn't do it. She couldn't leave Ananya in an orphanage. And in that moment, she made a decision that would change her entire life. She decided to adopt her.
See, this journey to Kashi wasn't just about bringing one life to a peaceful close.
It completely redefined Mira's. It's where her grief was finally, fully transformed into a new kind of purpose.
This whole journey was her ultimate test. And the elixir, the thing she brought back, it wasn't some miracle cure for death. It was a completely new understanding of hope. She realized that hope doesn't always have to mean fighting for one more day, one more breath. Hope can also be the hope for peace, the hope for dignity, and the hope for a death surrounded by love, not by machines.
And with that realization, her story really came full circle. Adopting Ananya gave her a new future. It was a way to be a mother again and to honor Aryan's memory in a new way. And her husband, Raghav, after seeing the profound impact of her work firsthand, he finally got it. He started defending her to his skeptical colleagues. He became her biggest supporter. And together, they took all of that shared pain and turned it into a shared purpose, building a new kind of family.
So, at the end of the day, Mira's story leaves us with a pretty fundamental question, one we all have to face eventually. When we're looking at the inevitable, how do we define a good ending? Is it about fighting for every last second, no matter the cost? Or is there a different kind of victory to be found in peace, in dignity, and in love? It's a huge question, and definitely one worth thinking about.